This is the meeting of the Barnstable Historical Commission for Tuesday, January 16th, 2024. And thank you for joining us. Please make sure your phone is turned off or silenced. The real-time access, you can go by link, is https://townofbarnstable-us.zoom.us/854-651-10602. Phone is by 1-888-475-4499 with a meeting ID of 854-6511-0602. We have to do a call to order by roll call. So Nancy Clark, I'm here, but my voice isn't by very much. Nancy Shoemaker.
Here.
Marilyn Fifield. Is Marilyn here?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. Okay, and
Oh, you were waving and you're not Marilyn Fifield.
Yeah,
No,
I just noticed that too. No, she asked if Morales is here, and I said yes, that's me.
Oh, no, we're looking for the members of our.
I'm looking for the members of the commission. I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry.
No, I'm looking for Marilyn Fifield, and she usually phones in, so we don't see her face.
She's actually just gone off screen, so she might be having troubles connecting. She was on, but not off camera. But the name's gone off, so she might come back in.
George Jessup. I don't think he's here. Cheryl Powell.
I'm here.
Jack Kay. I don't see Jack. Barbara DiBiase.
I'm here.
And Rob Facey.
Hi, I'm here.
Okay, and let's try again for Marilyn Fifield. Still not back in. She must be having some connection problems. She's quite devoted to attending. I think we can continue on continued applications. The first one is, we don't have any continued. We're going on to the regular application, sorry. 1180 Cotuit Holdings, LLC. 1180 Main Street, Cotuit, map 033, parcel 033, built in 1853, a contributing structure. I'm sorry, within the Cotuit Historic District. Nancy.
Yeah, you want me to read them? Yeah.
Please.
Get your lovely husband to get you a glass of water. So that was again 1180 Cotuit Holdings, 1180 Main Street, Cotuit, map 003, parcel 003, built 1853, contributing structure within the Cotuit Historic District. They're asking for a partial demolition, removal of existing front screen porch and the brick patio base, front door and windows on the outside wall to remain, and siding will be replaced like for like to match existing where the roof is removed, removal of the existing front stone driveway pillars. So we have someone here to represent 1180 Cotuit Holdings.
Yes, Peter Lomenzo for the applicant.
Great, thank you. You have the your application on. Would you like to explain what you are planning to do? Or first of all, I'm probably being ignorant here. Help me a little bit, somebody. Should I be opening public hearing first? No, I think not. I think go ahead and do your thing. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, ma'am. So essentially the porch that you see on your screen extending off the front of the original house was put on, as far as we can tell, about 50 years ago. The new owners prefer to have that removed and return the house to its original appearance. So that would be removed, as would be the brick patio that goes along with it. I believe that that's going to be grass and maybe flagstones. And then the siding and trim would be replaced as stated in the application. We believe this is in keeping with the original look and feel of the home and its historic construction, and we believe this meets the concerns of the Katuitt Historic District and Barnstable, and we ask for your approval.
All right, comments by anyone of the any of our members?
I think we should have some comments by any public first,
Oh,
Nancy.
first, okay, thank you. Do we have anyone from the public who would like to make a comment?
This is Erica Brown. I see that Stephen O'Connor would like to make a comment. So Stephen, if you want to mute and go ahead.
Thank you very much. I live on Shell Lane, but I was first introduced to Katuitt in 1980 when I was a graduate student. And I actually lived in one of the cottages across the street from this subject at the old Sousa property. And one of the things that I think from a historical perspective, I appreciate the applicant's desire to maintain that level of consistency with the historical aspects of the building. Those two pillars are as historical as it gets, because the identical pillars exist right across the street on the old Sousa property, which then run all the way down, below and behind the Sousa property, and another two pillars exit out on Shell Lane. And I think if you go back and do the historical research, you'll find that this was some kind of an animal path where there was old farms that used to be there. And they used to take animals down through these stanchions. And they're gorgeous, and they're historic, and they're beautiful. And I don't see why you would need, and again, I don't want to limit anybody's ability to do anything they want with their home. It just seems to me that the historical society might be really, really interested in something that has real historical significance in the town of Katuitt. And I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to say that.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else from the public who wishes to speak? Okay.
This is Erica Brown. I don't see anyone else wanting to speak to this at this time.
Thank you, Erica. Okay, so I have a question for you before I get the other people involved, and that is, you say that you're restoring it to its original historical status, but I haven't seen any pictures submitted to back that up. Do you have such materials?
Not at this time, ma'am. I do not.
Okay.
If I may, just jump right back in. If Mr. Lorenzo could put back those slides. I think slide number 2 shows those stone pillars.
The picture up does show what the house did look like, and I guess will look like.
There's one of them there, right there on the right-hand side. There
Okay,
you go.
you're talking about the stone pillar out at the gateway.
There's
Correct.
2 of them.
Okay, and I don't think that that's part of the plan to remove,
Yes, it
but
is.
I need
Mhm.
confirmation on that, please.
It's part of the plan we're proposing to remove. Yes.
Oh, it is part of the plan to remove it. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And I believe there's another one on, there's 2 entrances, 2 measures of egress and ingress in the driveway.
Yes.
And I believe there's another pillar on the other side as well.
I think so too. That's what my memory says, but
Yes, there's another pillar. The idea here is to improve the access to the property.
It doesn't seem like there's obstruction there now. And so it just,
yeah.
it really, that would be, I don't know. Again, like I say, these are pretty historic structures and it would be a shame to lose those.
Thank you, Steve, Mr. O'Connor. appreciate your participation. Okay, I would like to know from my other commissioners if they have any discussion on this point. It seems to be the removal of the stone pillar there as well as the porch.
Nancy Shoemaker here. When I saw this application, I thought, wow, that's wonderful. I admire so much that they're going to try to bring the house back to normal. I have no problems with them removing that porch and of course the brick patio, but I too felt, as Mr. O'Connor did, that the two stone posts were such a part of that property, and I did not know that they are indicative of other properties in the area, which makes me feel more and more like I would love to see them, maybe if they have to move them out off away from the driveway by 3 feet or something. That would be a lot of work, but I wonder if it's really worth it to do. But it certainly does sound like it's very very much the style and the feel of that neighborhood and its history.
Well, we have it within our power to grant one portion and not the other, so.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, not one post, but yeah.
No,
Right.
to say that.
Yeah.
That the post needs to stay, but the porch can go. Because there seem to be two different elements. Okay.
Can I, this is Cheryl, I have
Yes,
a
Cheryl.
question and a comment. If the applicant would clarify the second post, is that on the other end of this hedge?
Yes,
For the gate, it is.
Yeah.
On the other side of this drive, it looks like it's a circular drive. Would it be on the other, on the far same hedge, other side?
Well, there are two at this end that we're looking at now where the arrows are.
Yeah,
Covered in ivy to the left of the screen.
okay,
Where someone's moving the arrow, that is a very similar, if not identical pillar.
okay, thank you for clarifying that. Historically, those stone pillars marked an entranceway, which were later became more fashionable to put up the white or black posts at the entranceway when lights became available to put in them. I do particularly like the stone posts, but I'm just one voice on that. I think they are historical.
I agree with
I,
it.
like Nancy Shoemaker, have no problems with the porch.
Any other commissioners wish to speak
I have
or ask a question? Yes,
quick-
Bob.
quick thought. Thank you, Nancy. Bob Frazee. I'm not sure that I'm going to be voting on this because I think you have a quorum without me, but I just wanted to say I 1,000% agree with Nancy and Cheryl and others who have spoken in favor of the porch removal. I think it's doing the house a big favor, and I think that's to be commended. And before this conversation even started, when I was doing my diligence on this last week, I had the exact same thought about the stone pillars that you guys have been discussing. I don't know that it's a fatal flaw in the proposal by any means, but I think if there were a way to see one's way clear to saving them, it would be an attribute for continuing on with the historic look of the property, and especially hearing that they relate to others in the neighborhood, which I was unaware of also. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Barbara, do you have anything?
A question about the porch. So from what I understand, the brick base and the porch will be removed altogether. So so that section of the house, the front of the house, will all be flush across. I'm just trying to picture it in my head. So this will
No.
all be gone.
The indentation.
So this is the front door right there, that beautiful brown door.
The
And this porch will be gone.
The fur door, yes, that door will remain. That will be the entrance to the home.
Okay.
And that wall that you see there, that's supporting the chaise or the couch, that will all remain.
The picture that was shown of the porch, kind of a distance, and the older picture as well, from the original. It could well be that porch was added on and that there was previously a brick. Could the applicant clarify if that brick porch was part of the original, just the
No,
brick part, not the windows and the over the roof and all that? Would that brick part be remaining, and was it part of the original?
We do not have any evidence that it was part of the original, ma'am. So it would be removed.
But do you have any pictures of the original that would show what was there?
No.
the Form B picture shows it not there.
It does, okay. It's kind of hard to tell there. It looks like there might be something, something there, but not as large. But it's hard to tell. I just want clarification.
That's true. Okay, I think we can make a motion to close the public hearing.
I will so move that, Nancy Shoemaker.
Thank you.
I will second.
Thank you. Okay, this is just on closing the public hearing. And I have to do it by roll call again. So I'll start with Barbara DiBiase,
Aye.
Cheryl Powell.
Aye.
Rob, I'm going to have you, oh no, I guess we do have a quorum, don't we? So I won't have you called. Okay. Nancy Shoemaker,
Aye.
Marilyn Fifield.
She's
No,
here.
Matt.
She's muted.
Marilyn, will you unmute, please? Marilyn, what is your vote, please?
If she's not connected or temporary out, I believe Robert can vote in her place.
Well, I'm George Jessup's here.
Oh, George is here now.
Yeah,
George?
I've been listening. I just
Okay.
realized I had to clear my muting. So, aye.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, George. And so we will move on now to discussion of the motions. I personally
I have some
feel-
questions. I have some questions, if I might, Nancy. They want to take off the entire porch to restore it to the previous look. Would they consider restoring it to an outdoor porch, retaining the roof and the posts? And I tell you why, because if they take it all off and go to the original historic, the porch itself, as an open porch, has some historic significance as well as the original porch-less design. And it does protect the entrance. So in other words, revert to an open porch rather than a glassed-in porch.
Okay, our time for discussing that is really past, George.
Okay.
Are we
correct.
willing to reopen?
Correction for George, though, please, if I may. George, when we were discussing it earlier, it was clear that we don't have actual pictures where we can tell what was there before, if there was part of a porch or not. It's unclear. So it's not taking it away. It may not be restoring it to normal. So it's kind of trying to figure out what to do. I would be interested in asking the applicant if one, they would mind removing from the application the stone pillars, and also how what they would feel about leaving an open porch, which would have been historical there. How do they feel about that? And I, Madam Chair, to point out to you that Jack Kay has now joined us.
Oh, okay. We've kind of finished with that public hearing portion, but these are good points that you brought up. I would like to take this as two aspects because I fear that otherwise it's not going to pass at all, Mr. Lomenzo. I think that we need to change the thing, or we could vote on the porch aspect separately from the pillar aspects. Are you willing to have us approach it that way?
Yes, I believe the owners would support that in the spirit of, you know, keeping and continuing with the historic integrity of the property.
Okay.
I mean,
I think that that would be the wisest way to serve
to
both.
be clear, Madam Chairman, are we talking about the two pillars on the left end there? Just that
We're talking about the pillars, the stone pillars on the driveway.
okay, just on that side where we were discussing.
That's correct.
Right, thank you very much.
Is that there are stone pillars on the other side of the driveway as well, is that correct?
There's one I can't remember specifically.
Well, at any rate, those were not part of the original motion, so I think we don't have to worry about them. They will have to stay until they are brought up separately.
Okay,
Okay.
Actually, Madam Chair, they are part of the motion. They're the last sentence, removal of existing front stone driveway pillars. I think your idea to bifurcate them is a good idea.
That's a good point. That's a good point. So we would be considering all of the stone pillars. All right.
that's why I wanted the clarification. I believe there is another pillar at the other end.
Yeah, I think there is
Doesn't
too.
have a twin brother or sister, but it's there nevertheless.
Yeah. So we'd be considering all three pillars.
Can I
Okay.
also ask a clarification? It was brought up by one of the committee members, the possibility of moving one or some of those pillars, obviously, to within the same, you know, fundamental area. One of the reasons that the owners have elected to take this step is to provide easier and safer access to the driveway, which will now consist of the area just in front of the garage unit, or what we would like to call the carriage house. So we would not have the long sweeping circular half moon driveway. So I don't know if that can be done. I'm just speaking here for clarification, so that it can be entered into the minutes. And of course, if they decided to move it, they would be coming back to you for your blessing to do so.
I think you need to explore that a little further. I'm not sure that those posts will move easily.
Right,
And
I don't think so either.
I don't,
Madam-
you know,
Madam Chair, may I make a suggestion that might solve this? The stone pillars is a question, correct me if I'm wrong on it, there's a question as to whether or not they might be moved, and I believe that Mr. Lemenzo would need to discuss it with the owners. If you look at it, it's been pointed out that the one on the left is covered in ivy, but there's a pillar there. Then we can see the other one on the right, and it looks like there might be a third. Might I suggest that we can, because I believe we can continue one section of it. So deal with the porch and that sort of issue, and then continue to the next meeting where he has an answer on that and where they might put it. But if they're trying to just widen the driveway, since there's only a hedge on one side and what looks like ivy on the other side, they could possibly widen the driveway by just simply moving them a couple feet to the side. Either way, that's a possibility.
Well,
if,
I support and appreciate that suggestion. So however the committee decides to rule on that point, I would be supportive of that with my
okay, then we will, in our motion, yes, Nancy.
Can I make a motion now then?
Yes, you certainly may.
Done with our hearing,
Yes, we are.
that part, the discussion. So what I'm going to do is make a motion removing just the last sentence. And that's with the agreement of Mr. Lemenzo.
And then do it, and then you'll have to do another motion continuing
to continue
the discussion on that.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
go ahead. Go for it, Carol.
1180 Katuitt Holdings LLC, 1180 Main Street, Katuitt, map 003, parcel 003, built 1853. Contributing structure within the Katuitt Historic District, partial demolition. removing of existing front screen porch and the brick patio base. Front door and windows on the outside wall to remain, and siding will be replaced like for like to match existing where the roof is removed.
Okay, that's,
Have a second?
continue with motion one.
Well,
That you
should I
move
have a
after
second
review.
and do this separately?
I thought this motion was going to be to remove the existing front stone from the application and to continue it.
Okay, I was gonna take them in a different order, but you're probably right, Cheryl. I think
I was
it's.
gonna say, if
logical.
I may, Cheryl, I believe is right. We should have a motion to bifurcate the item
Yeah,
and then to continue the stone pillars, and then we can go ahead and motion for the application without the stone pillar.
okay, so,
I'm
The
gonna-
removal of the stone pillar sentence and for it to be continued to the next meeting.
Okay, so I'm going to continue the motion after having said that where the roof is removed, that the removal of the existing front stone driveway pillars, all of them, will be moved to another separate continued hearing, right?
continued, yes.
Yes, it'll be continued to the February 20th meeting at 3 p.m. via Zoom.
Okay,
And can we
So,
clarify that that is a separate motion? Because right now we've already read out the other part. So it's a separate motion. So
I think we did, yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Okay, motion number one, I move that after review and consideration of public testimony, the application and associated materials, the significant building 1180 Main Street to it is a preferably preserved significant building. And again, this relates only to the building.
the building or the pillars?
This relates to the building.
Oh,
The second,
Okay, we need a second.
I'll second
I'll
that.
s-
Thank you, Barbara. Oh, Jack has joined us. Okay. All right, an aye vote will impose an 18-month delay. A nay vote will not impose an 18-month delay.
Madam Chair, I hate to be a pain, but if this is with regard to the building and the porch, they hadn't got, I thought,
We didn't do a roll call on the bifurcating the motion
No, we
and
didn't.
continuing.
we
So
didn't.
sorry, we need to scratch.
I'm so sorry. I don't want to be a pain, but I don't want it to come back and bite us on doing
Yeah.
it wrong.
No. I totally understand. Thank you, Cheryl. Nancy Shoemaker, do you
Yeah.
want to restart?
why don't we have Cheryl give the motion so we make
Yeah.
sure.
Cheryl, if you want to do the motion for the bifurcating and continuing first, and then
Okay.
we can go ahead with the regular motion.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bifurcate and then in the same motion, which the pillars to be continued.
Yes.
Okay, so with regard to 1080 Cotuit Holdings LLC, 1180 Main Street, Cotuit map 033, parcel 033, built 1853, continuing structure within the Cotuit Historic District. With regard to this motion, I make the motion that we bifurcate the two parts, the first part being the removal of existing front screen porch and the brick patio base. Front door and windows on the outside wall to remain, and siding will be replaced like for like to match existing where the roof is removed. Bifurcating that part is part one, and the other part being the bifurcation, part two, removal of the existing front stone driveway pillars. And in this motion to the part two, the removal of the existing front stone driveway pillars to be continued to the next meeting for further information.
I need a second.
I'll
George
second
Jezebel, second.
Thank you.
So on motion one, I move that after review and consideration of public testimony, the application associated materials.
Sorry, real
We
quick.
haven't
Oh, no,
voted.
because
Point- yeah,
oh, I'm
point of
sorry, we haven't
order.
voted. I'm sorry.
Roll,
Right.
roll call vote, please.
Silly me.
Yes, that's what I would like to do.
Good.
Okay, Nancy Shoemaker,
Aye.
Marilyn Fifield,
Aye.
George Jessup,
Aye.
Cheryl Powell,
Aye.
Jack Kay,
Aye.
Barbara DiBiase,
Aye.
and I also vote aye. This is Nancy Clark. Now you can go ahead, Cheryl.
So Erica, just to clarify, because we've now bifurcated them, I am going to do the, because we've already continued, we don't need to do a motion on the stone. We do it on the first part, correct?
Exactly.
We've
Mhm.
already
Yes.
done, yeah.
Yeah,
to
I just wanted to
consider.
make sure we don't have to do a motion one on that. So on the first part of the motion on 1180 Cotuit Holdings LLC, 1180 Main Street, Cotuit, map 033, parcel 033, built 1853, contributing structure within the Cotuit Historic District. With regard to part one, the removal of existing front screen porch and the brick patio base front door windows on the outside wall to remain, and siding will be replaced for match existing where the roof is removed. Before we go for a second, I just want to clarify, because we had not had a final on, because I don't want the person to lose it if they wanted to continue that as well to get further information. Do we want to do this? Because it would have to be a whole new application if that part's turned down, just to help the applicant out.
I think we're just going to go on and do the motion, finish making the motion. one.
Okay, so it's for that first part with regard to the porch. Is
That's
there-
correct.
You need I move that after review and consideration of public testimony, the application associated materials, a significant building on 1180 Main Street, Cotuit, is a preferably preserved significant building.
Now I need a second.
Second that.
Thank you, Jack. Okay, this is where on the first part on the building itself, the porch. This, if you vote aye, it's an 18-month delay. If it's a nay, it will not impose that delay. Nancy Shoemaker.
Nay.
Okay, Marilyn Fifield.
Nay.
George Jessup.
Nay.
Cheryl Powell.
I'm going to abstain.
Jack Kay.
Nay.
Barbara DiBiase.
Nay.
And I also vote nay. Okay, let's go down to the bottom of the page there for that section. This is
All
dealing
right.
just with the house.
Yep. I move that in accordance with section 112-3F, the Barnstable Historic Commission determines that the partial demolition at the building located 1180 Main Street, Cotuit, is not detrimental to the historical, cultural, and agricultural heritage or resources of the town.
I need a second. Thank you. Okay, an I vote determines that the partial demolition is not detrimental. Nancy Shoemaker.
Do we have a nay vote? We don't have a nay vote down here.
Traditionally, we don't. You can certainly
But-
vote no if you like.
But the thing is, we've already voted, the nay passed.
We have
So-
already voted
Okay,
that we're not going to impose. Okay, I have had a second for this. And let's move ahead, please.
Second.
Roll call vote, Nancy Shoemaker,
Aye.
Marilyn Fifield,
Aye.
George Jessup,
Aye.
Cheryl Powell,
abstain.
Nancy Clark votes aye, Jack Kay,
Aye.
Barbara DiBiase.
Aye.
Okay, now let's go back up and do the pillars. And let's not forget, folks, this is within the Cotuit Historic District.
But we've already continued them to the next meeting.
I think we have not. I think we haven't finished continuing it.
Erica?
No, we did, point of order, we did. So when
We
Cheryl
did?
made the
Okay.
motion, she motioned to bifurcate and
Terrific.
And to
and
continue to the
continue.
next
So
meeting.
it'll be continued to the February 20th meeting.
Thank you,
Okay,
Eric.
thank you very much. Okay, let's move on to,
Can I have a point of order, Madam Chairman?
yes, Peter.
When you, since we're okay to, I assume, remove the porch, is that correct?
We did
Yes.
allow for the removal of the porch.
Okay. The
Pillars,
Pillars are continued to February 20th.
that's correct.
Yeah, they cannot be touched. Is there a recommendation that the committee makes or determination what to do with the group of currently assigned shutters? Do they need to be replaced? Or is that a different discussion, different hearing? We're just looking for clarification from your committee.
Preferably, they should be replaced.
Preferably, okay. So if we have a different point on that, we'll come back to you with a different application.
That's great. Terrific.
Great.
Okay,
very
thank
much.
you. And we'll see you next month for the pillars.
Looking forward to it. Thanks for your help today, everybody. Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. All right, now we're moving ahead. Fifth Avenue Properties, LLC, 223 Washington Street, Hyannis, map 309, parcel 198, built 1880 and 1930, inventory. They're going for a full demolition to demo the existing buildings and the foundation. Who's here to speak to that, please?
Hi, my name is Felice Barrero. I'm the owner of the property. And I also have Dan Adams, which is my contractor, on the phone.
Okay, great.
We're looking to have the two buildings demolished to build a one structure building there to put some apartments.
Okay, this is a building that was built in 1880 and 1930.
I just
So,
wanted to
okay,
let you know that I spoke with the nurse practitioner and there's no problem with changing those two pills.
Okay.
So now, in the morning, you'll get your levothyroxine, the torsemide, and the spironolactone.
Uh,
And that way there will be done
Um,
over with. early in the
I'm going to
morning.
log out because I don't know. I'll come back in. I don't know what's going on here.
How did the drugs get, how did
okay.
the drugs
Okay.
get into this?
First, I'm going to see if there's anybody from the public who is, has some concerns about the project or think it's positive.
Chair, this is Erica Brown. I don't see anyone wishing to speak to this project at this time from the public.
Thank you, Erica. Okay, then let's go on with the commissioners. What say you? Any questions from the commissioners? Any discussion?
I'd like to hear from the owner a little more of. You
Well,
know,
they just said all he wants to do is tear it down and put in new apartments.
Oh, I thought it was a parking lot.
There is, I own those 4 parcels there. I'm trying to build one in the back, 2 parcels, about a 20-unit apartment, and I need a little bit of that space to put additional parking.
See, I knew it was a parking lot.
It's not a parking lot. There's only
Absolutely.
15
You
parking
were-
spaces will be added to the apartments. There's already the 2 front lots. There's a parking lot in between there already.
And how many units would you be building?
Well, we need 1 parking space per unit, so we're gonna put in 15 units. I'm gonna try to use some. We're gonna try to get 20 or so apartments in there.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Have you considered using the buildings that you have as apartments?
It's too much. They're deteriorated. There's the foundation, the building is, it really needs repair inside. It's been patched over the years. Foundation is not safe. We're just tossing too much around it, and we were gonna do 1 building, what we need an elevator on it to make it access to the 2nd and 3rd floor. And if we don't demolish that, I cannot do the project. There's not enough space.
So it's just in your way, basically.
I'm sorry?
So it's just in your way, basically.
Correct. I mean, it's just the lot there. We need a building. It's gonna be about 10,000 square feet building. And then we need about 60 feet for 15 parking spaces. And there's just no way of fitting it in if we try to keep that there, and it just worn down the little shack. I mean, it's been there for a long time. It really wouldn't be helpful to have a nice new look in there.
I don't have trouble with the shack, but I have trouble with the 1850s house, personally speaking. But it's up to the commission, not up to me.
There's
Um,
nothing in that house on the outside that is original anymore. It's been done over the years. Vinyl windows, vinyl doors. I mean, I know you have more things that you can look at, but I mean, it's just the foundation, none of the bricks, it's just regular bricks. There's no,
Probably West Barnstable bricks.
no, I wish they were. I could make some money on them, but they're not.
Okay,
I was just gonna say, I looked at this before the meeting and I felt the building is very isolated already. It really is the only little bump of civilization on that strip between the existing parking for other contiguous properties and the adjacent street. And it's been that way for a while. The historic part of the property itself is really a fairly small percentage of the whole. And the rest is modifications. It might be that I was going to conjecture that the brick foundation could be original. It may not be, but that would be in keeping with a building of that period if it were. But it's not something that would be easily approved as part of a commercial renovation project anyway with a brick foundation. You'd have to take that out and put something new in with a brick facade. It really wouldn't probably be worth it. George, you can jump in if you think I'm crazy, but that's my impression of this. I wondered if there's any way that the small portion of building right front up on the street could be isolated and saved and moved somewhere else for a different purpose, but I'm not sure that the integrity of the building is sufficient to warrant that. It's just really just a question.
well, that,
I think it would be a long shot to try and keep it, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with you, Bob.
okay, other commissioners, do you have anything to say? I don't hear anybody jumping in. Okay, then. So let's get ready for some motions on the 23 Washington Street. First, we have to close the public hearing though.
I move that we close the public hearing. Nancy Shoemaker.
Thank you. I need a second.
Inventoried.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Barbara. Okay, roll call vote. Nancy Shoemaker,
Aye.
Marilyn Fifield. Marilyn, are you? out
Question?
again?
Can you repeat
just-
the question? I couldn't unmute. Thank you.
Okay, the question is just closing the hearing.
Yes, please.
Okay. What do you really think? George Jessup,
Aye.
thank you. Cheryl is gone. Nancy Clark votes aye. Jack K.
Aye.
Barbara DiBiase.
Aye.
I got you, didn't I, Nancy Shoemaker?
You did.
Okay.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, so it's time for the motions.
So that passed that we close that hearing. I will give it will be on the Fifth Avenue Properties LLC -23 Washington Street, Hyannis, map 309, 309, parcel 198, build 1880 and 1930, and its inventory. Full demolition of the existing buildings and foundation. Number one, I move that after review and consideration of public testimony, the application and associated materials, the significant building at 23 Washington Street, Hyannis, is a preferably preserved significant building.
I need a second.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, and I imposes the 18th month's delay. A nay does not. Nancy Shoemaker,
Nay.
Marilyn Fifield,
Aye.
did you vote? You voted aye, is that correct?
Yes.
Good. George Jessup
Aye.
and Cheryl and Nancy Clark, I vote aye.
To not demolish?
That is correct. Jack K,
Nay.
Barbara DiBiase.
Nay.
Okay, where are we, Erica?
It looks like Cheryl is back, but but
But
I
she
don't,
didn't-
she literally wasn't here for the
I didn't hear
discussion.
the first part.
She
and I
didn't
do-
participate with the
yeah.
hearing.
And I do
So-
want to apologize, but I obviously wanted to prevent a HIPAA violation there.
It's okay, let's go
No
on.
problem.
So,
That's fine.
so
Um,
Erica, where are we?
So right now we have a 3-3 tied vote. Bob could go ahead and vote in place of Cheryl
Okay,
since he was
Bob.
here for the discussion.
That's correct.
I
Bob
vote,
Frazee,
I vote nay.
okay, in that case, it does not have the 18-month delay, and we go to the motions at the bottom.
Okay, I move that in accordance with section 112-3F, the Barnstable Historical Commission determines that the full demolition of the building located at 23 Washington Street, Hyannis is not detrimental to the historical, cultural, and architectural heritage or resources of the town.
Okay, and I need a second for that.
George
I'll
Jessup,
second.
second.
Okay. Got the guys jumping in. All
Mhm.
right, and I vote determines that the full demo is not detrimental and no demolition delay is imposed. Nancy Shoemaker,
Aye.
Carolyn Mayfield,
Nay.
George Jessup,
Nay.
Nancy Clark, nay. Jack Kay,
Aye.
Barbara DiBiase,
Aye.
and I guess, Rob, we're gonna pull you in again.
Aye.
Okay, it's going to be allowed to go then. I'm very sorry to hear it, but there it is. Okay, moving along.
Thank you very much.
Okay, this is for Christina Morellas, 202 Annabelle Point Road, Centerville, map 211, parcel 012. Nancy, continue, please.
Yeah. Let me go find the sheet again.
Sorry.
So this is at 202 Annabelle Point Road, Centerville, map 211, parcel 012, built 1940, partial demolition. Remove 3 front facade windows and door. Replace with 5 new 4 light windows and a new door with 4 lights and a lower fixed panel.
Okay, that's,
But there's
I see that
also,
Christina's here.
Yes.
Are you speaking for yourself?
Yes, I am.
Okay, please tell us again what you're doing.
Okay, yes. So I came last month, and you guys didn't necessarily like my initial idea. So I went back to the drawing board, and you guys you had a specific request. The windows should be more stylistically and historically compatible with the structure, and that you'd wanted to see space between the windows, maybe 6 inches or so. So what I did was I went back to the architect and I requested that she draw, and there was a typo on my application because ultimately what I wanted was 5 windows and a door, and I wrote 4. And so I decided to put both images on both drawings, the one with the 5 windows and the one with the 4 windows. I feel that the 5 windows creates more of a balance on the facade. The 4 windows leaves a really large blank space, which doesn't seem in balance with the door and the other windows on the other side. So I chose these same Anderson windows, which are in keeping with the style from the period of the house. I also chose a door that matches up with the style of the windows instead of the more 60s modern floor to ceiling panels I had previously planned for the house. So the existing structure, which is the 1940 structure, would receive a facade which is consistent with the period. I like to add that nothing in the existing structure right now is original to the house. I spoke with one of my abutters who's been around this neighborhood since she was a little girl, and she said to me that none of those windows, I mean, I know that 2 of the windows in the door are not original, but the other window is not an original window. So everything that's there today, that's here at my house today, is not original to the house. It's been changed over the years. And I wanted to change it. And one of my worries, and that's why I proposed the glass panels originally, is that this side of the street is very, very dark. So hence the windows, so I can get a little more light in here. Otherwise, the whole room is very dark.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
Nancy?
Yes, I was going to ask, see if there was anybody from the public who would like to speak.
Chair, this is Erica Brown. There's no one from the public wishing to speak to this item at this time.
Thank you. Okay, so commissioners, we've had this up before us, and Christina has made a lot of changes in an attempt to bring it to something that's more historically acceptable. Do you have any questions for her about this? Nancy?
Mine is not a question, but you absolutely listened to what we requested, and I'm very happy with it, particularly the 5 windows, because what you had originally, besides the length of the windows and the style, there was a blank space over to the left. And, I think this with 5 windows, the style of it all is so much better. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree.
I have an open meeting law question for Erica. As Nancy has just pointed out, this was up before us before. Was that a meeting that I missed? Because I missed a couple in a row.
It's one that you missed, but this is a new motion. This is not a continuation.
It's not a continuation. That's where I wanted to make sure, so I don't create a problem there. Sorry, Bob.
So no, not a problem. At the last meeting, the addition was approved by the commission with the exception of the windows on the front of the original of the facade. And those needed to come back as a new item and to be re-advertised, which has been done so for this meeting.
Yep. Okay, folks, what do you have to say?
I have something. I like, as Nancy pointed out, I like the balanced windows look. I also like the fact that the board and batten siding has one end section in the middle of the building step back. If you compare the two, you'll see that there's one that has been left off, so that the apparent overhang of the return of the gutter matches the open end, the opposite end. It affects the scale a slight bit, and I think it's an improvement. So, in other words, I like the second, the most current iteration of that elevation.
Okay. I'm getting lots of positive thoughts. Do we have any separate questions? Okay, I think it might be time to close the public hearing. Like a motion, please.
I'll move
So
that.
moved. Okay, all right.
I move that we close the public hearing.
I'd like a second.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Okay, we have to do it roll call again. Nancy Shoemaker.
Aye.
Marilyn Fifield.
Aye.
George Jessup.
Aye.
Cheryl Powell.
Aye.
I'll also vote aye. Jack Kay.
Aye.
Barbara DiBiase.
Aye.
Okay, good enough. Now let's move on to our motions.
I can do that if you want.
That'd be great.
This is for Christina Morels. Someone correct? 202 Annabelle Point Road, Centerville, map 211, parcel 012, built 1940.
Oh, I'm
Oh.
sorry.
Am I on the wrong?
No, you've got it. Sorry.
Partial demolition, remove 3 front facade windows and 1 door. Replace with 5 new 4 light windows and a new door with 4 lights and a lower fixed panel. I move after review and consideration of public testimony, the application and assorted materials, the significant building at 202 Annabelle Point Road, Centerville is a preferably preserved significant building.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Okay, an aye vote imposes an 18-month delay. A nay vote does not do so. So Barbara DiBiase,
Nay.
Jack Kay,
Nay.
I also vote nay. Cheryl Powell,
Nay.
George Jessup,
Hey,
Marilyn Fifield,
Nay.
Nancy Shoemaker.
Nay.
Okay, let's go to the bottom.
I move that in accordance with section 112-3F, the Barnstable Historical Commission determines that the partial demolition of the building located at 202 Annabelle Point Road, Centerville is not detrimental to the historical, cultural, and architectural heritage or resources of the town.
I'll second that.
Thank you. And I vote determines that the partial demolition of the single-family structure is not detrimental and there will be no demolition delay imposed. Nancy Shoemaker,
Aye.
Marilyn Fifield,
Aye.
George Jessup,
aye.
Cheryl Powell,
Aye.
Nancy Clark, I vote aye. Jack Kay,
Aye.
Barbara DiBiase.
Aye.
Okay, let's move on to our last element. And you will be allowed to move ahead with this now, Christina. Thank you for being patient and coming up with something that I think is going to work for everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Madam Chair, as I mentioned, I have a hard stop to collect a dog from the vet, so
Okay, see you
rather
later.
than interrupting the presentation, best of luck to the applicant and everyone have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Okay, our next one is nominee Trust Services LLC, 819 South Main Street, Centerville, app 185, parcel 015, built 1920. It's a partial demolition, demolishing the existing chimney as it is leaking and not used. Roof to be patched with slate tiles to match existing. Okay, who's here to speak to this, please? Erica, is anybody here to talk to this?
It looked like Andy Filippo was on to talk to this application. Andy, if you want to mute yourself. I don't know if he's having any issues.
Lost him. He went to sleep.
He's got
Oh,
he's got the microphone and the vision muted.
Yeah. Mr. Filippo, are you there?
I'm in a meeting right now. That's okay.
I
You
don't
wanna
know
give
that
him-
he's there, but you all can always look at the application and decide if you have enough materials for it to vote on it or discuss it. Oh, it looks like
Oh,
he's there. If
Sorry,
you want to go ahead, Andy.
sorry about that, everyone. Yep, thank you everyone for your time. I just wanted to meet with you all today just to get some color on your response or your reaction to the proposed partial demolition. The owner has some concerns about the existing chimney, that now it's no longer in use. I guess there's some significant leaking that is occurring and some water damage to the roof structure.
mm,
The owner would like to just, remove the existing copper clad chimney and patch it with existing slates that they have left over. So there's, no appearance of any new roofing. It looks like the existing historical aged slate roof that's there now. But I'm really just, looking for, I think the response was that the structure be replaced as a facsimile of what's there. And I'm just looking for the commission's, just a little more clarity on their response and what the best way to proceed is.
Okay, thank you. George?
Well, I don't think it looks too bad when you take it off. It does change the appearance of it, but I don't see that it changes it negatively.
I think it does.
It's just a different look.
Tell me something, George.
I understand why the chimney was there, because originally it heated 2 rooms on that side, at least 2. It's big enough to have heated 4 rooms.
George?
But yeah, go ahead, Nancy.
I have a question for you. How many copper plated chimneys have you seen?
I haven't. This is the first one I've seen that was fully copper clad.
I think it's for that reason, it's worth saving. It's truly amazing. I think that it can be saved in appearance only. In other words, leaving or removing what's inside and doing whatever staunching needs to be done so that it's not leaking into the house. But I think that it is a truly, I can't say it's unique because I don't know, but it certainly is unusual, and it's a very special treatment that was done to a very special house. And for that reason,
I wonder when it was done, Nancy.
I don't know. Looks like it was done in the 30s.
You think it's that old?
Oh, I think so.
Well, welcome.
Yeah.
If it is a fully soldered application, it could be a wood frame inside it to retain the appearance of it.
Precisely.
I like the draft accelerators. Those are quite unique.
Those are really cool.
Yeah, and properly located, they work very well. I don't see the need for it because I don't see any surrounding trees or high roofs or anything. But that's probably for the first floor to get enough draw in those fireplaces. So it, as you say, it the original chimney, I think, was brick, and they covered it because it was leaking, and it was probably because it was a poor quality of brick. I don't know if they've had any water damage on the rest of the structure, and I don't know what the other chimney looks like up close. But I think you're right. If it is unique, and I haven't seen a copper-clad chimney in its entirety anywhere before this. I've seen dormers face this way, but I haven't seen chimneys face this way.
Well, that's my feeling as well. And for that reason alone, it needs to be, obviously, if the bottom part isn't working, then obviously it can be replaced or removed. But I think it with some sort of support inside and perhaps even sealing those little nuggets on top so that they are also, if they're not the cause of the leakage. But I think you can stop the leakage and still retain the look of that chimney in place.
Well, if those are authentic, and I see no reason why they wouldn't be, draft accelerators, chimney tops, then they can probably be, they are probably a part of the masonry chimney below it at that cap or just below it. It's usually secured to the extension of the clay liner. At least that's the way I built them. But I also set it down far enough so that wind wouldn't affect the joint. In this case, it could be they could be attached to a wood frame on the inside of that copper chimney and secured at the cap,
Right.
waterproof at
Obviously.
the cap without a problem.
And considering its location, it's going to need good securing because there's good wind there.
Yes, yes. The accelerators may be to limit the amount of draft in that case, but it seems that a good roofer would know how to flash that properly. A competent carpenter could fabricate a wooden frame for the inside of that copper, and it might be removed rather in one piece, so that you weren't involving a tinsmith again.
Well, I think what's there, George, is it's the existing masonry chimney. So the brick chimney was then at one point wrapped and then clad with copper. So there is a wood structure, I believe, behind the copper, but then inside of that is the original masonry. So there's quite a lot of brick. Where the fireplaces are in relation to that chimney, it's actually quite a long run. You know, how they tied everything together, and the corbelling to get to that point of the roof is pretty spectacular.
No, I'm sure it is. Yeah,
but,
that's worth a few photographs in itself.
Yeah, to trace it through the house, it's quite a journey. But yeah, there isn't one. All these chimneys in the house, you can see it's a very eclectic aesthetic. There isn't one chimney that's the same. They're forged in different materials, and so yeah, it's
the owners have had
amazing.
fun with their chimneys.
Yes.
Do we know if repairs have been attempted on that chimney?
Yes, there have been, I think, patchwork repairs that have tried to save it. I'm not exactly sure when the use of the fireplaces themselves ended, so that they're no longer, I don't even believe they can be wood burning anymore. But I think, there's been sort of, Band-Aids, if you will, but not a universal sort of reconstruction of the area around the chimney. I think in order to really pull back all the roofing properly and remove what's there, it's a very significant undertaking. But to do it right, I think that's what would have to be done. So, but
Well, go ahead.
Well, I just think the owners, I think having a house like this, obviously the owner has, an appreciation for historical buildings and has gone out of their way to preserve as much of it as they can. I think in this case, the amount of work and the investment in time in order to retain this piece versus just, not coming back and patching it with asphalt shingles, but patching it with, with aged slate shingles. The thought was that it would still respect the existing structure in a way that that we could be happy with. But I agree with the commission. It's a very autonomous to the building. It's a special piece. I think there's some argument to be made. Maybe it's not the most aesthetic solution for a chimney out there, and it looks a little out of place. I think could be one opinion, but anyway, yeah, I think that the thought is to just as thoughtfully as possible remove it and patch with the roofing that is currently there.
Okay, other commissioners,
Yep.
do you have anything?
Nancy Shoemaker here.
Yes, go ahead, Nancy.
One thing is the existing structure of the two floor, one on top of the other chimneys, are they really strong enough to hold this? If it were to be left on?
Well, can't say for the 100% surety. Again, the corbelling and the relationship of the masonry mass that's below that is significantly, it's at its extreme, I would say, as far as the pitch that the masonry mass is in relation to where it daylights through the roof. So I think, certainly if the decision was made that that the owner needs to come back with something to match this, that we would do it in a fashion that's much lighter than there now. Which, wouldn't, I don't think that in itself is all that tricky. It's just patching the roof and properly flashing everything. And again, to your point, just shoring up what's there. Once you start to unravel, pull the thread on the sweater, you want to make sure it doesn't ripple effect through the rest of the house. That's all.
Now I still have two questions because for one thing, if it were to be left, I'm wondering if the commission would be willing to remove the wind, what are they called?
Chimney pots, good enough.
Okay. And then also, it sounds like you would replace this no matter, or you would want to replace this no matter what, and put another one in there if we think it needs to be. And if it does get decided to be removed, I don't think we would, as a commission, care about whether a fake replacement, that's the point, I guess, is really mainly that it's an unusual material for this purpose.
Right. Right. I think it's the owner's desire would be to remove it. And I was just seeking clarity on the response of replacing it with a facsimile, exactly what the request was, just so I could relay that to the owner. But I think at the end of the day, the owner's preference would be to completely remove it.
Right.
Unless I can make the case otherwise, but.
I just wanted to, Bob Frazee here, I just wanted to comment that when George first started speaking and I gave a thumbs up, I want to say one of my first reactions was, without looking at the intricacies of the construction and the artistry involved in the construction of the chimney and its cladding alone, aesthetically, this chimney is doing nothing for the building. It is not helping it. And even without it, the eye immediately starts seeking a second chimney for symmetry's sake. And we all know that just because it's a visceral reaction. I'm not saying they should put one on there, but this thing's been wrong since the day it was built. On the other hand, if you look at it more closely, and thank you, Nancy Clark and others for doing that, you're looking at a pretty unusual treasure, really, and the question of balancing the values of preserving the anomalous chimney for the sake of its artisanship in place versus improving the aesthetics of the building and observing that the chimney is no longer functioning in a manner that it was designed to do and is perhaps a hazard to the building, are the two things I think, ultimately are what are going to have to be weighed as a decision's made. And I don't know, which one of those two alternatives is the less costly and involved for the owners. That's not our purvey as a commission, but I'm sure they would have to think about that too with your help, Mr. Silpro. And that's kind of a quick overview of it. And I'm impressed with the conversation. That's really what I wanted to say. And I'll shut up.
Well, as a continuation of what Bob was saying, I think the chimney looks too heavy. The adding of the cladding and the frame behind it to add the cladding has changed the proportion of the chimney, not for the better. I like the fact that it is really a nice piece of artistry on the part of the coppersmith, but it's out of scale with the chimney at the other end of the building, which is hard to say whether that's more original than this chimney. But when you look at it, it just doesn't balance. And I think it's the facade is better balanced without it. And when you look at the next photo down, by comparison, you see that the roof is lighter because of the lack of that chimney. The center focus is now on the widow's walk rather than the chimney itself. And the whole elevation is lighter and takes on a much more uniform appearance than it does with that oversized chimney.
But
That's-
we're not here to say that it looks lighter or it looks better or whatever. What we're here to do is preserve historic aspects if we
Yeah.
think that they are worthy of being saved.
Okay.
So just that's
just
my
how
last-
historic is that chimney, Nancy? That's my question.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I haven't been in the building. I haven't looked around and seen when it was built. And you could tell a certain amount by looking at the bricks, by the fact that they were losing the ability to keep out the weather. It indicates to me that they were probably early on. But
I think it's been repaired a number of times, probably.
oh, I think so.
And I
Absolutely.
think that the repairs are incompetent rather than the original design.
Okay.
Right.
Anybody else have anything to say? We've heard from a couple people. For 3 people. Okay, then I suggest we close the hearing. I need a motion to do so, please.
I move we close the public hearing at this time.
Thank you, and I need a second.
Second.
Thank you, Barbara. Or that was Marilyn, excuse me.
Thank you.
Because Barbara still has her mute on. There we go. All right, so we are voting now to close the public hearing. I have to do it by name call again. Nancy Shoemaker,
Aye.
Marilyn Fifield,
Aye.
George Justin,
Aye.
Cheryl Powell is no longer here. Nancy Clark, aye. Jack Hay,
Aye.
and Barbara DiBiase.
Aye.
And Nancy, I'm going to ask you to take over and run the meeting because my throat's going again.
Okay. So we have closed the public hearing and motion will be for Nominee Trust Services LLC, 819 South Main Street, Centerville, map 185, parcel 015, built 1920. Partial demolition, the demolition of an existing chimney as it is leaking and not used, roof to be patched with slate tiles to match existing slate tiles.
Complete the
do a roll.
motion.
Next.
You got to complete the motion.
Okay, I just had the wrong sheet here. Okay. I move that after review and consideration of public testimony, the application and associated materials, the significant building at 202 Annabelle Point Road.
I believe it's 1180 Main Street.
All right, I am,
So it's 819 South
819
Main
South
Street.
Main.
I got it, I got it. Okay. I move that after review and consideration of public testimony, the application and assorted materials, the significant building at 1180 Main Street, Katuitt is a preferably preserved.
Point of
building.
order. Nancy, it's for 819 South Main Street.
Oh,
Why
there are
did-
2 different addresses. One is.
It's
the
Yeah,
notice
it's
is
actually
filed and
printed
then the
wrong.
The motion is
Yeah,
I
incorrect.
Sorry.
must have done it wrong. I'm sorry. So 819.
problem.
Just let Nancy off the hook. Sorry.
819.
I'm sorry.
I'm messing up too, so don't worry about it.
It's,
Let me
it's, it's
start
a
again with
joint group. here.
Nominee Trust Services, LLC, 819 South Main Street, Centerville, map 185, parcel 015, built 1920, partial demolition. Demolition of existing chimney as it is leaking and not used. Roof is to be patched with slate tiles to match existing. Motion number 1, I move that after review and consideration of public testimony, the application and associated materials, the significant building at 819 South Main Street, Centerville, map 185 in Katuitt is a preferably preserved significant building.
It's in Centerville.
Oh, what's it?
If you excuse my interruption.
819 South Main Street, Centerville, map 185. The other part I had gotten right.
Okay, it's preferably preserved significant building. I'll second the motion.
I'll second it.
Yes.
That's just it.
And shall I take the vote?
Yes, please.
A roll call.
Yes,
Barbara
please.
DiBiase,
Nay.
Jack Kay,
Aye.
Nancy Clark,
Aye.
George Jessup,
Aye.
Marilyn Fifield,
I'm sorry, can you summarize again what the vote for?
the vote is the initial vote that we do that says that it is a preferably preserved significant building. And I will impose an 18-month delay, and nay will not impose an 18-month delay.
Okay, aye.
Okay, and Nancy Shoemaker, nay. So we have
Okay.
how many nays for?
I
Erica?
thought-
Two.
We do have, so we had, for ayes, we had Nancy, Jack, George, and Marilyn, which is the 4, so it would impose an 18-month delay.
Okay.
It
we have
will.
to do this.
Oh,
Yes,
Oh,
Yes,
it will.
it will. Yep, Nancy, Jack, George, and Marilyn voted aye.
Nancy Clark.
Yes.
That's
Okay.
correct.
All right. So I move that in accordance with section 112-3G, the Barnstable Historical Commission determines that the partial demolition of the preferably preserved significant building located at 819 South Main Street, Centerville, is detrimental to the historical, cultural, and architectural heritage or resources of the town.
A second.
Okay, and I vote determines that the partial demolition is detrimental and a demolition delay is imposed. So roll call. Barbara,
Well, I think I need to vote nay since I voted nay before. So
Jack Kay,
Nay.
Nancy Clark,
Aye.
George Jessup,
aye.
Marilyn Fifield,
Aye.
Nancy Shoemaker votes nay, and Bob is not part of the vote, right?
We have 3 and 3 or 4 and 2.
And we have, oh,
We have a quorum without.
so
Sorry,
I
give me
voted nay.
1 second.
Barbara, Nancy Shoemaker, and Jack voted nay, right?
Barbara, Jack, Nancy, Shoemaker voted nay.
Marilyn, George, and I voted aye.
Yes.
So
So
it
it's a
looks
tie
like,
vote.
it
We need a
looks like
tiebreaker.
Rob gets to break.
Ooh.
the
I have so much fun today, you guys. I'm sorry, I vote nay.
Oh, that's a really sad thing. Okay.
Well, I'm hopeful that there's some interest still on the part of the owner to do something with the chimney in any case. You know, I think this was a sincere conversation, and I'm hoping that that will still turn out to be the case. It's clearly a caring owner, but I couldn't see holding them up entirely for that chimney. I don't
Okay,
love.
we had, now how did we had the majority on the first motion said nay. Is that correct?
The majority was an aye vote to impose an 18-month delay, which was Nancy Clark,
Okay,
Jack, George, and Marilyn.
okay.
And then on the secondary vote, Jack had said nay instead of aye.
That was my mistake.
Oh,
Think
wait,
so?
Do you
What-
want to vote aye instead, Jack?
I wondered about that, honestly.
Yeah, that's.
Okay.
This
So
whole
then-
system's a little weird. Being the newcomer on the block, I get to say that again. You know, you all understand what I mean is
you're right. You're
We
right.
do.
the double negative wording inherent in what we have to
It-
vote on
it-
every time is
This
bizarre.
is absolutely true. I
Just
agree.
saying.
Okay, so if you changed your vote to an aye vote, then that means that we didn't need Rob's second or tiebreaker. We
Correct.
have the votes.
Correct.
Okay,
So the 18-month imposition would
sorry,
be in
Rob.
place.
Okay. So
After which they can do what they want.
No, it does not. Means they're stuck with it unless they want to come back to us and say, we'd like to build one that fits what the commission feels is appropriate.
Or remove it and have found some creative safe place for it if the people who voted to save it are concerned to see it continue somewhere. So
Well, there's no reason it can't be just sealed off.
the other
And-
thing too, though, Nancy, is if someone goes to visit the house and realizes that it is causing a problem for the structure of the house, that's something that could be considered.
Well, yep, I've lined my chimneys.
But that doesn't change the structural integrity too much. This may be a
It doesn't.
load-bearing problem with all of the extreme corbelling that was being described too. I can
May
imagine
well
it's
be.
not simple.
Means,
And that's why
means
the
you need
draft
to, it means removing it is not accepted at this point in time.
Yeah. I think that's a nice way to put it. You know, another thing that was occurring to me is that sometimes really careful documentation is a way of preserving something that inevitably at some time we can forecast in the future needs to disappear. That photo of it actually in black and white is pretty cool, but doing some other photos and measurements or things of that sort, or somehow setting it aside for preservation or other thoughts. I'm not saying I would support them particularly as in lieu of keeping it, because clearly the commission prefers that be retained, but there's some wiggle room in there. I would think some gray zone.
And also remember that the 18-month delay doesn't mean you can't come back with another application at any time.
Right.
Yeah, which
Absolutely.
sort of where I was heading with some
Yeah.
other ideas about how
Yeah.
to deal with it.
If it's holding you up for
Yeah.
18 months and there's a good reason why you need to take it down, then you can let us, you can display that to us and we can act accordingly.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, good enough. Thank you. And
The
thank you for-
workmanship and effort in it is pretty amazing.
yeah,
So if it was possible to lift it off and repair beneath it and slip it back on, then is it still offensive to the owner?
right.
Hmm.
Okay, let's move along. CPC, Marilyn, do you have anything for us?
Thank you.
Mercifully, I do not. Our past two meetings have been canceled. That was for November and December. And our next meeting will be next Monday, so I have no report for now.
Okay, thank you. Historic events open to the public coming up. Anybody have anything? Okay, Nancy.
Been a little quiet. Yeah, things are starting up. I have a program committee for the meeting house coming next week. We're going to have very interesting things over the summer, but I'll tell you about them next month. Sturgis Library has their exhibit case as you come into the library that changes monthly. And for February and March, so it'll be a 2 months, it's going to be of paper artifacts. And yeah, in this day and age of, are we going to continue to have paper because we all have our phones? It's kind of interesting to remind people of the value of paper in its own way. So it's going to be from Valentine's to documents. It made 4 different groups. I'm sorry. The Historical Society of Old Yarmouth, Barnstable Historical Society, the Nye Museum in Sandwich, and Sturgis are looking through their documents. And Barnstable Historical Society has come up with an array of fascinating Valentines, but also, one item is the John Bodfish, who was the blind lawyer from Hyannis. And as I've done a little more research on him, I cannot believe what this man accomplished in his life. Things down in Washington, D.C. And I mean, I always respected him for how he could continue working, but after going blind, but he was really something else. And what we have as a paper artifact from him is a poem that he wrote. It's in calligraphy, so I imagine someone did it for him. And it's to reach out to a neighbor who lost their child. And so it's it's something of the time. We also have, report cards. We have people going into the service and getting their awards or their certifications So it's going to be an interesting thing for, again, February and March in Sturgis Library. And then I have
Sounds
one
good.
other thing, if anybody's dying to get off the Cape, because we all get a little caught being here. This,
Cabin fever.
yeah, cabin fever, you know it. On the 20th, which is this Saturday, at the Hull Life Saving Station at Hull, Massachusetts, at 2 p.m., they're going to have their annual meeting. And this is a group, you know, life-saving history is so interesting and colorful, and this group really keeps it alive. So if you're interested in getting in a car and getting over the bridge, that's this Saturday at 2 p.m.
Okay, thank you. There's one thing that is not here that we try to bring up every time, and that's 200 Main Street, the artifacts. Is there a report, Erica? We still haven't heard anything come back from our faithful servant.
I'm not sure if Elizabeth is on. She might have a small update, but unfortunately I do not at this moment.
Okay, you had said you would have an update from her this month, so that's why I was.
And
I know that her and Kate have been working on it. Kate did say that she had somebody that was interested in coming in and taking a look at them, and she was going to reach back out to them. I don't know if she has yet.
And
But
I asked
that
you,
is as far as I know.
coming in to look at them, meaning to evaluate the system and where things should go, or someone who would then perform the inventory?
Because we already have an inventory.
We've had 3 or 4.
We've already had the inventory, yeah. So it's evaluate where they should go.
That should be more than one person, and it
certainly should.
Absolutely has to be a committee, and it absolutely has to be someone representing every village, so that it's done very fairly. Does
And
everyone else agree with me on this?
As well as someone who is from this commission should be part of the decision making.
Okay. If anyone's interested in it and wants to reach out to me, I can obviously redirect you to Kate. I know Kate's been working on it, and so has Elizabeth, so I can try to get you in touch with them to get more information and to get on that.
So you are actually at the point of maybe evaluating and documenting and sending off items. You think you're at that point?
I'm not going to give 100% on that. I don't know for sure. I have not been working on it. It's been Kate and Elizabeth. So unfortunately, I just really don't know.
We've had so many people as the time, this has been since 2000 and Bob helped me, 2004, 2000.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
And I have so much documentation. I have 80 something pictures. I mean, there's a judge, a big portrait of a judge up there. We need to have someone with historical knowledge, but particularly of this area. And we need to, again, have someone who represents every village, many facets of the village, to make sure it all goes in the right places. Because
if the inventory of what's there, or the combination of inventories of what is there is complete enough that it will help guide destinations, in other words, by identifying the individual in a portrait and where he or she was from, for example, will help very much. Without that, it puts it on those who are making the evaluative decisions about where it should go, on a much greater, gives them a much greater burden to try and work through what that means. And it will change the level of expertise required of them, or the depth of their knowledge, or the size of the group doing it in order to develop the breadth of knowledge you need in order for it to be fair. I sure don't want it to become more complicated than it already has. So I'm hoping that the information that's already in hand on the inventories is pretty thorough and detailed that way, and will help, excuse me, guide a smallish group to reach some equitable decisions that distribute things in ways that will be appreciated by the different villages and not create a firestorm instead, which is obviously the big worry. I'd be happy to help with this to some extent if I can. You're welcome to pass that on to Kate and Elizabeth, Erica, if you want.
No, thank you, Bob. I do appreciate that. And I completely know what you are all saying. Like I said, unfortunately, when I
Yeah, we're
came
not
on
trying to
last year.
catch you
I
in the
don't
middle
know
on it,
much
for
about
sure.
this project by any means.
Right.
But I am willing to help them out as well as much as I can. So I'll try to get more information from Kate and Elizabeth about where they're at.
Super.
And also pass on Rob's willingness to do the work.
Yeah, they'll
course.
probably recognize it. I offered a long time ago, and I don't mind that they didn't reach out to me. I think they had an awful lot of due diligence to do, and it had to be done in a very particular way, and I get that. But if we're getting closer to a point now where it's more about village-centric judgment calls and evaluations on that basis, then maybe it's more subjective and time to bring in the recognizable troops.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good.
Okay. And we have the approval of the November 21st minutes. Marilyn, I trust you've checked them out.
Mhm.
If my name is at the end of them, I did. I don't remember now, and Erica probably knows too.
Yes, these were continued from the last meeting because we did not have a quorum to vote on them.
That's right. Thank you.
Okay.
I move that we approve.
Go ahead, Marilyn.
I would move that we would approve these minutes.
Oh, thank you.
I'll
All right.
second that.
Okay. We have to do roll call again. So Barbara DiBiase,
Approved.
George Jessup,
Approve.
Jack Kay,
Approved.
Nancy Shoemaker,
Approved.
Marilyn Fifield,
Yes.
and I also approve them. So those stand approved. Okay, I see nothing else. Our next meeting is February 20th, 2024. I would like to have a suggestion that we adjourn.
Oh,
Let's stay
Just a
here for another
suggestion.
3 hours. It's so much fun. I second, was that, Bob, did you suggest?
I was going to suggest that Nancy Clark get herself healthy again pretty soon. That's
I'm
my
working
strongest
on-
suggestion.
Thank you.
The other's
Thank
more
you.
like emotion.
Yeah.
Okay,
And I'm not voting at this point, so one of you guys has to second.
you
it.
can make a motion.
Oh, you were a tiebreaker today, Bob.
I did, for better or worse, right?
Okay, and I know we have 15 seconds on a commission that doesn't have 15 people.
I
Okay,
move
Nancy,
That's what
yes,
you're looking.
okay, we got that. And we have a second. And so we're voting on this. Nancy Shoemaker,
Aye.
Marilyn Fifield,
Aye.
George Jessup,
aye.
Jack Kay,
Aye.
Barbara DiBiase,
Aye.
and I also vote aye. Have a good one, guys.